Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Hey, the snow is coming down, man. It's kind of crazy outside right now, but it's beautiful. It's like a nice kind of, powdery snow. The conditions aren't that bad to drive in. Aiden made it in here on the other side of the window, so we appreciate the effort to get in here so we could bring you Hockey Sense today. Looking forward to today's show. Lots to break down from last night. Blues 6-2 victory over Anaheim. They're not very good. Where we're seeing a lot of teams around the NHL right now. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of teams who just aren't very good, where you should be able to pencil in 2 points, but it doesn't always work that way. That's why you play the games. And if you're a Blues fan, you certainly understand that, even going back to last season. Games against San Jose, games against Buffalo, these are not automatic wins. But, when you see Chicago live, you're like, okay, and they're not good. But then they turn around and beat Colorado. You see Anaheim live, you say, okay, they're not good. I'm sure they've won some games on paper that you wouldn't expect them to win. So it is the National Hockey League. I guess anybody's capable of beating anybody, as we know. But there are a lot of very, very subpar teams in the National Hockey League right now. And then there's a collection of some very competitive teams. And then there are a few elite teams that are out there that are head and shoulders above the rest. Vegas being one of them. I saw Toronto play live the other day. Listen, I like Toronto. Their roster is interesting. It is goofy. When you really watch them play, and you're at a game, I went to the game on Sunday against Philadelphia in Toronto, and it's like different watching them play when you're not working the game, so you're not focused on what you have to do for your work responsibility, and obviously paying closer attention to, the team that you cover, which in my case is the St. Louis Blues. And you're just watching the game and you look at the roster and you say, wow, this guy's really good. That guy's good. They got a great power play. But then you just see the significant drop off. I mean, Toronto right now, they don't have a roster that is good enough to win the cup, in my opinion, just in terms of the actual roster. Do they have really good players on their roster? Do they have elite players on the roster? We all know the answer to that is yes. I love watching Mitch Marner play live, man. He is one of my favorite players to watch live in the NHL. And to see him on home ice, it's even different than seeing him on the road. I think on home ice, he plays to the crowd. He's an entertainer. He oohs and ahs you. He's got a great sense and a great feel for when he's bringing the fans out of a seat, because then he tries to do another dangle, tries to go between his legs when he knows he has the audience's or the fans' attention. You know what I mean? He's kind of like an NBA player from that standpoint. When an NBA player starts doing some crazy ball handling, they get to the rim, thunderous dunk. They know they've got the attention of the fans inside the arena, and they put on a show for the fans. Marner's kind of that guy. I saw him do an unbelievable play where he split the D inside his own end. Now, this is on the PK. Then he dangles a guy, goes under the stick or through the stick in the neutral zone, and then goes between his legs and gets a shot on goal, and he almost scores. And then he just skates backwards in the neutral zone, just going like this, waving on the next guy to hop over the boards for the line change. Doesn't even look at the boards, and then T stops it as he gets to the boards. So, listen, not that I have a new respect for Mitch Marner, because I've always liked Marner. My kid has his jersey. My kid likes Marner. I like Marner. And I've kind of defended him in the past. I think a lot of people look at him as the easy target for Toronto, because his game doesn't always necessarily translate to the Stanley Cup playoffs, but we'll see how that looks this season. Somebody's going to get a good player if the Maple Leafs don't re-sign him, but I have a feeling he's going to end up staying there. He's too popular. He's too good. John Tavares is another guy who, maybe some people have been critical of him in the past because of his personality, quiet leader, very stoic, doesn't show a whole lot of emotion or passion, but I feel like we're seeing more of that this season. And all of a sudden you look and you see John Tavares with 20 goals. Is he going to want to stay in Toronto on a lesser deal? I mean, he's not going to have a choice no matter where he goes. He's not going to make the money that he's making now. But if this guy scores 35 goals this season and finishes more than a point per game, I think he was at a point per game last season, right? Wasn't he over 80 points last year? Somewhere around there. I mean, why should he take a haircut to stay in Toronto? Why would you do that? They took the captaincy away from him. Listen, the way that he handled it is just really impressive. So I enjoyed watching guys like Tavares and Marner, and of course Austin Matthews, who I love. But defensively, they're just not very good. And there's going to be goaltending questions until there aren't for Toronto. I mean, and the only way you answer those questions is to get it done in the playoffs. So there's some unknown between Stolars and obviously Joseph Woll. Both have a lot of talent, and both are certainly capable of getting it done in the playoffs, but just really haven't been in position to do so. Certainly not in Toronto. So we'll wait and see. Woll played some playoff games last season. Listen, when we get to the playoffs this year, if he ends up being the guy, which is always possible, those games last year, getting a taste of the playoffs, playing well in the playoffs, that's only going to help him heading into this year. But listen, I digress. My point wasn't to come in here and talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs the whole time. The Blues had a good showing last night. Jim Montgomery came into the press conference Thursday morning saying, hey, listen, I want the fans ready to rock. He's going to be ready to rock. We're ready to rock. And they certainly were. I thought the ceremony with Cam Fowler was really good. His family appreciated it. They even commented to me privately. They were like, wow, that was a nice ceremony. And it was. I mean, for the Blues to get that painting turned around as quick as they did from the Winter Classic, whoever did that painting, man, I wish I had the name because I should be giving you a shout out. You should be getting some attention and some recognition for that painting, showing the Selly with Wrigley Field in the background. Are you kidding me? That is an iconic photo. And certainly, you know, Cam Fowler's, you can make the argument that was his best game as a member of the Blues, although he's had some other good games too. Played well again last night. Had another assist. He's putting up points. He's a plus player with the Blues. I think he's +5 in the games that he's played here in St. Louis. So we all know he's been a good player. I thought it was classy by the Anaheim Ducks. And listen, I thought yesterday maybe brought some closure, and now you can transition to him truly being a part of the Blues moving forward. He's under contract next season, so he's going to be here regardless for at least another year, and who knows, maybe even more beyond that. He's 33 years old, so, I mean, I don't know how much commitment you're going to be looking to give Cam Fowler beyond next season, but for what it's worth, he's giving you everything you need right now, and then some. But, you know, when you spend 991 games with one organization, not many people can say they do that. That's second all time in the history of the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, when he came into the league, Teemu Selanne, Saku Koivu, all these guys were still playing. In addition to Getzlaf and Perry, he's been around some really, really talented players, some great leaders, future Hall of Famers, current Hall of Famers. He lived with Scotty Niedermayer. Like, this guy is, you know, for playing in Anaheim all those years, I think he really got to experience the best of it. Now, he hasn't played a playoff game since 2017, although he's played more than 60 playoff games. So when he first came into the NHL, this guy was, you know, getting some playoff experience and, you know, was a part of some really good teams there in Anaheim. So he came into the league with Anaheim at a good time. And then Anaheim obviously has been in rebuild mode, and I don't know where it's going, to be honest with you. They've got some other good young players. I'm watching this Mason McTavish last night. I mean, what is he doing? And I know he had the World Junior moment, and he was a high pick and came in with some hype. But what are you getting out of him? You know, Cutter Gauthier, what are you getting out of him? Gauthier last night, no points. Played 16 minutes, -1. And let me just go through his recent game log because he hasn't scored a goal in 6 or 7 games. He's got 1 point in the last 5. That was an assist. He's got 1 goal in the last, like, 14 or 15 games. I mean, so these guys are learning on the fly, and it's not easy. But I mean, just look at these names who they're expecting to carry them offensively for the Anaheim Ducks. Robbie Fabry, Ryan Strome. I love Strome. I love Fabry too, but I love Strome. Had a great conversation with him yesterday. He's a guy that is just being wasted playing on a bad team. I think he could help a good team. He's a good leader. Killorn, obviously winning experience. But these are the guys that you're counting on to carry you. You know, Leo Carlsson obviously has some significant upside. He's got 8 goals on the season. He had 12 last year as a rookie. But they need more from Leo Carlsson. Just not playing with a ton of confidence. But this Mason McTavish, He's got 6 goals, 17 points. He's played almost 200 games now in the league. McTavish, okay? I mean, he is 21. He's not 18. He's not 19. This is his third full season. He came in 21-22 and played 9 games. And he had 19 goals last year. So he showed some, significant potential with 42 points as a 20-year-old. And he's got 17 goals right now, 6 goals and 17 points in 35 games. I'm just watching him last night. I didn't see much. I didn't even see much from Mason McTavish, and I don't make too much out of a morning skate. But you do like to see which players are locked in, which players are making the most use for their time on the ice. What are they working on when the players break up at the end of practice? Are they really trying to get better at anything, or are they just kind of twirling around and looking at the clock and wondering, hey, when can I get off the ice? When are the veteran guys going to get off so I can get off? Like, what are they doing? And I'm just watching these guys, man. I just don't see a whole lot of purpose behind what they're doing on the ice. There appears to be a disconnect between the head coach, Greg Cronin, and the players for whatever reason. I don't know if he's too hard on the players, if his style doesn't necessarily match up with the modern day player, but something's got to be done. I mean, with that Anaheim team, they're going to have some players coming, but again, just a roster that is just not good enough, in my opinion, to compete on a nightly basis. You can see the frustration from, Radko Gudas. I mean, he's getting run by Nathan Walker. He wanted to absolutely kill Nathan Walker. He tried to run Braden Shen after that. I will say Gudas showed some good skating ability. He kind of, I don't want to say he caught Jordan Kyrou, and Kyrou is one of the fastest players in the league. Certainly from his first 3 steps, Kyrou can really just explode. But Gudas, there was a little bit of separation, and he was able to at least distract him when Kyrou had a breakaway attempt. So Kyrou couldn't get off a great shot and wasn't able to get the shot off that he wanted. And Gudas was able to kind of close the gap on him. I didn't know he had it in him. Trouba looks completely disinterested. So, they have Cam Fowler over to the hotel. I thought that was cool. Okay, but again, they've known this guy for a long time. They probably ordered this watch, this Rolex watch that they ordered for Cam Fowler. This probably was ordered prior to him being traded to St. Louis. So they were going to give it to him regardless. And, what are the Blues supposed to do? All of a sudden go out and buy him a Rolex? I think they got him a nice golf package, though. Well, you can go out and buy him a Rolex? He's been with the team for a couple weeks. I guess you could. But the team had the Rolex. They had the bracelet for the wife. They had a watch even for little Charlie, who is Cam Fowler's son. And they had him over to the hotel. You don't see that happen too often, but it kind of gives you an idea of what he meant to that team and the relationship that he has with the players on that team. But I will say he's established himself very well. He's integrated himself very well into the Blues locker room, and I think he's already created some relationships here in St. Louis. So let's hope that presents some closure. I feel like we've been celebrating Cam Fowler's 1,000th game for 2 weeks, because the game was played at the Winter Classic, and then obviously you've had some follow-up games, and he was so good in the Winter Classic. We've just celebrated this 1,000-game milestone. They put a couple of games on the road before they came back home, and were able to present him with the Silver Stick, which was ordered by the Anaheim Ducks, I'm pretty sure. And you saw Pat Verbeek, of course, the GM of the Ducks, present Fowler with the Silver Stick. So, listen, great ceremony. It was great to have Fowler's parents there, Perry and Bridget. Great people, and I enjoyed interviewing them during the game yesterday. But it was a great performance. I want to talk about Kyrou a little bit. This line that he's on with Shen and Dylan Holloway is just fantastic. You finally have a second line right now, and maybe the Blues will look to add another center, maybe to push down Shen into the 3-hole. In a perfect world, maybe that's where you would put him in the 3-hole. But he's doing a lot of the little things that open up and create space and opportunities for Holloway and Kyrou, who have developed incredible chemistry with one another. I mean, just look at the pass from Kyrou to Holloway last night. And without even looking, he knew Holloway was going to bounce, pop out, find that quiet ice, and Kyrou spins and puts the puck on his tape, and a quick release from Holloway, and he beats the goaltender and gets his 15th goal of the season. I mean, he's got 15 goals, Dylan Holloway. All the talk was about Broberg, and for good reason, coming into the season. And when the offer sheets were made, a lot of the people out of Edmonton were saying, oh, they're going to keep Broberg, but they're going to let Dylan Holloway walk. It was almost like Holloway was like secondary. And he probably was. I mean, Broberg was the bigger name and the bigger fish. But with all that being said, and it kind of reminds me of when the Blues got Carlo Koliakovo and Alexander Steen. So much of the talk at the time was Koliakovo. The Blues needed a left-hand shot. They were able to get Alexander Steen as part of the package in the deal, and Steen ended up being here longer and ended up having the better career of the two, and certainly made his mark here with St. Louis. And listen, Koliakovo had a good run here too. I think he had back-to-back seasons with 30 or more points. So he had 30-plus points 3 years in a row. That'll get you paid in the NHL. Probably should have made more money than he did. Had some, his contract was up in some times where he maybe could have gotten some more money. But regardless, two good players, and the Blues have two good players now that they've gotten from Edmonton. Broberg continues to play well. The next step for Broberg is to see him finish in some of these opportunities that he's getting offensively. He's in position to get a shot off in close range. He's got great instincts. We all know he's got such strong skating ability, but now you want to see him finish on some of these chances and increase the point totals and the goal totals. So that's the next step for him, and he obviously is still so young. Holloway's young, but he's a damn good player. I love how Jim Montgomery said, I didn't know he was this good. Could Holloway get 30 goals? Are people okay seeing Jordan Kyrou continue to put the puck in the net on a nightly basis? This guy's up to 19 now, and he's on pace to get to 30 goals for the fourth consecutive season. I'm not sure if Tarasenko did that here in St. Louis. I'll have to double check. I want to believe that he had 4 consecutive 30-goal seasons, but I don't think Tarasenko had 5. So, this is going to match what Tarasenko did. And Tarasenko was looked at as a elite goal scorer in the NHL during his time here in St. Louis, where I think a lot of people would admit that he probably underachieved here in St. Louis with his ability to shoot the puck. He should have been north of 40 year in and year out. His career high was 40 on the nose. So he had 37, 40, 39, 33, 33. So yeah, he had 5 consecutive seasons with 30 goals. And then the injury struck, and then he got back up to 34 in his second to last season here in St. Louis. But when the Blues traded him, he had 10 goals. Ended up scoring 8 with the Rangers. Last year combined, Ottawa and Florida, he had 23 goals. And this year, 4 goals in 39 games with the Detroit Red Wings. The Blues got a first-round pick for Tarasenko. Don't forget that. They got a first-round pick for Ryan O'Reilly. Hey, people were critical at the time. What are you doing moving these guys? They got first-round picks for these guys. And then we're celebrating the World Juniors. There's a reason why you have 9 players from the Blues playing in the World Juniors. Jakub Stancl, he led the World Junior Championships in goal scoring. He's going to join me here on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. And I'm looking forward to this conversation with Jakub Stancl, man. I've talked to him before. I talked to him at the draft. I saw him during prospect camp. When you score 7 goals, I think he had 10 points. And you lead the World Juniors in scoring, and his goals were beautiful. He scored some big goals, scored some shootout goals as well, which obviously don't count towards his goal total. But his ability to snap the puck and just his release from distance is NHL caliber already. And I'll be interested to see how much confidence he has now moving into the second half of the season with Kelowna. Does he get traded? There's been a lot of talk about him getting traded in the WHL. But he's now elevated himself. And listen, mind you, And he was a 4th-round pick by the Blues, so it wasn't like he was a 1st or 2nd-round pick. This guy was a 4th-round pick. And it wasn't like he was hidden somewhere. I mean, he plays for Czechia, and he's been in big international tournaments. I mean, it's not like he's been hidden somewhere. He was playing, major junior in Sweden. He's played some games in the top league in Sweden. I mean, people have had a chance to watch him play. The Blues got him in the 4th round. And I think his performance has now elevated himself into that top tier of prospects with the Blues. I mean, do I put him in the same category right now as Dvorsky and as Snuggerud and as Lindstein and, some of those guys? I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily put him there, but he's close. Otto Stenberg had a great tournament as well. I want to look at Stenberg's numbers in the World Juniors. He looked pretty confident in the shootout, too. Hit the post a couple times. But he had 8 points in 7 games, scored some big goals. So combined in back-to-back World Juniors for Stenberg, 17 points in 14 games. Lindstein probably wasn't as good as he was a year ago, but he was still good. Last year he had 8 points. Remember, he scored some big goals. Didn't score a goal in the tournament this year, but he still had a number of assists and, played some quality defense. He's going to be a good player too. So listen, the Blues have all these guys coming. But, Jakub Stancl, do I put him in the same category as a Stenberg or a Dvorsky or a Snuggerud or a Lindstein? I don't know if we put him in that category yet, but he's not far off. And he could certainly play his way into that category. We'll see how his confidence now translates to the rest of the season into the WHL. He's more than a point-per-game player in the dub right now. Can he improve those goal totals and really start to take off? But what he's done against his peers on the international stage, it's hard to not take notice. I thought Adam Jiricek was good too, man. That was the first chance we really got to see him play since the Blues drafted him. Wasn't available in prospect camp, didn't do much in training camp. And, to see him play games in a competitive environment, I thought he got better and better by the game. His confidence grew. You saw him get more and more opportunity on the power play in, late game situations, important situations, offensive situations. His ability to quarterback the power play, to distribute the puck on the power play, just setting it up on a tee for guys to just 1-tee the puck. And, Adam Jecko was the recipient on some of those. Stancl was the recipient on some of those. So Jiricek, man, really strong performance by the entire Czechia roster, but including those Blues players who, were playing for Czechia. So, listen, a lot to be excited about. Looking forward to this conversation coming up. But the Blues, man, they continue to be hot and cold, man. They win games, you get excited. They lose games, you're like, how do you lose that game? How do you come out and play like that? Because I will say the loss to Minnesota the other night, to me, that's the worst loss of the season. I don't think there's any question. I know you can look at some of the losses against San Jose and Buffalo and say, well, those are games that the Blues should have won on paper. Yeah, I would agree. But when you have a 4-2 lead, you're playing Minnesota. This is not the typical Minnesota that you think of. They didn't have Kaprizov. They didn't have, they lost Faber. They didn't have Jared Spurgeon. They were missing some players, man. You chase their goaltender. You score 4 consecutive goals after being down 2-0. You're leading 4-2 on the road. You got to find a way to close that game out. All right, let's step aside. Jakub Stancl is going to join me, man. Looking forward to this conversation coming up very, very soon. First Community brings us Hockey Sense here each and every week, live from the Half Coast Studios. Hey, cheers to convenient banking, man. No doubt about that. The team at First Community wants to wish you a happy new year, let you know they're excited to start the year with even more convenient locations. The newest one in O'Fallon, so check that out. The Interstate Highway, Interstate 64 at the Winghaven exit, so you can't miss that. Little Blues, still plenty of time to sign your son or daughter up for Little Blues. It's the best way to get introduced to the game of hockey. No better way to do it. And there's a lot of options out there in St. Louis, but there is no better way to introduce your son or daughter to hockey than to sign them up with Little Blues. You get all your equipment, top to bottom, helmet to skates, man. You get everything. You get a stick. It's not very expensive at all. And, It's a great little situation. Get great instructors out there. I think they get 6 ice times. You don't pay a whole lot of money, and very reasonable cost, and you get some great instruction. So before you commit thousands and thousands of dollars to the game of hockey, see if they like it first. No better way to find that out than with Little Blues, brought to you by First Community. Blue Note Roofing, man. Now is the time to start thinking about that new roof before the spring comes. There's only one guy to call, and that is David Novak, 314-920-5713. Blue Note Roofing. Call David Novak today. He is incredible, man. I've talked to some people who have used him recently, and they just celebrate the performance and the job that he did and that he's done for a lot of people. He can do gutters, soffit, fascia, siding, roofing. He does everything. Look for that big yellow truck with the blue notes all over it. Driving around town. He's a huge hockey fan. I saw him at the Winter Classic. I loved the Winter Classic, by the way. Had a great time out at the Winter Classic. Just got back from Toronto as well. So I'm in the hockey spirit, man, and I will be from this point moving forward. Not that I wasn't before, but, being around, iconic venues and, just classic matchups, watching hockey outdoors, being in Toronto, seeing a game in Toronto, certainly has things set up moving forward here, man. Blue Note Roofing. Call David Novak today, 314-920-5713. Lordo's Diamonds. Whew. Buy that special someone something special. Hey, Valentine's Day just around the corner. No better place to go than Lordo's Diamonds. 314-432-8008. They're the best in the business. They are so good. Mike and Jimmy Lordo. So check that out and do it today. They've been around for almost 70 years, and there's a reason for it. They are the best in the business, best selection, best customer service. If you have a $100,000 budget, you'll get treated the exact same as someone who has a $500 budget. So I should say it the other way around. If you have a $500 budget, you're going to get treated the same way as somebody who comes in with a $500,000 budget. Trust me. They're incredible people. They've been around for 70 years, like I said, for a reason. They're really good at what they do, so check that out. Arco Construction is taking St. Louis hockey to the next level, one ice rink at a time. They built that beautiful facility out there in Chesterfield, the two-sheet facility. They built a Shark Tank. They built Centene Community Ice Center. They've done a lot of great things, man. So check that out. They also built Top Golf and Putt Shack, man, so they bring the fun to St. Louis as well. John Comlos, Jeff Cook, everybody over there with Arco Construction. Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. Hey, download that app and do it today. Find the location nearest you. And get some of those great deals that they have on the app. You talk about all these great deals that you can find. You find them on the app. That's where you find the best specials. The deals are so good, they call them steals. They've got the best selection of beer, wine, and booze. They've got that walk-in beer cooler. It's a little cold for that right now for me to go hang out in there. But you hear me talk all the time during the summertime. When people are like, hey, where's Stricky at? Well, he's probably hanging out in that beer cooler over at Dirt Cheap to get out of the heat. And don't sleep on their party supplies. If you're having Valentine's Day parties, if you're involved with school parties, any other birthday parties. Today's my daughter's birthday. I want to give a big shout out to my daughter, Chloe. Chloe Jade turned 14 today, which is just absolutely mind-boggling that I have a 14-year-old daughter. And it's a snow day. Kids like going to school on their birthday, especially when you're a girl. All the other girls, they get excited for your birthday. And so she wasn't able to do that today with the snow day. But hopefully she'll be able to hang out with some of her friends and they'll be able to come over. They've got something planned for tonight for sure. So happy birthday, Chloe. And Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. Download that app today. All right, again, this is Hockey Sense brought to you by First Community. Jakub Stancl joins me next. We got Jamal Mayers coming your way as well on this edition of Hockey Sense, live from Half Coast Studios. I'm Andy Strickland. Thanks for hanging out. All right, let's bring in Jakub Stancl. You go by Jakub. What's the correct pronunciation?
So the correct is Jakub, but you can say Jacob if you want to.
I'm going to say Jakub. Your English has gotten great, by the way. How much have you worked on that, learning English?
Thank you. So I lived 3 years in Sweden since I was 16. So that's kind of how I learned. I learned in school also, but I was kind of forced to use my English in Sweden. So that's how I learned. And now when I moved to Kelowna, it's been kind of easy for me, I would say.
All right. Well, first off, listen, I got to say congratulations. You guys win the bronze medal. And I mean, just an exciting bronze medal game, having it go to 14 rounds of the shootout, and we'll get into your performance in the tournament and everything. So big shout out to you, all of Czechia, Jakub Stancl, man, everyone paying attention here locally and St. Louis Blues fans and whatnot as well. So way to go, man. Great job in the tournament.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
What's it been like being in Kelowna? Are you having fun being in British Columbia in your first year playing in the Western League?
Yeah, it's been fun so far for sure. It's nice mountain in here, you know, nice nature. The people around the organization are great. So I'm having fun and trying to enjoy every moment.
So what do you see out that window over there, Jakub? You see some mountains? Are they snow-capped mountains? You got some snow on top of the mountains or what?
No, I just see my neighbors. You want to see it?
Yeah, let me see.
How do I turn on the camera?
Want to see those mountains over there in British Columbia. Had you ever been to BC before you started playing there?
So I just see this basically.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. You get to live by yourself or do you have a roommate?
I have a roommate, but you know, my Czech friend, he got traded yesterday or a couple days ago, 2 days ago, I think. So I have a new roommate from Swift Current now.
Okay. What are all these trade rumors about? Are you getting traded too? What's the latest?
No, I'm not. I just saw something on Twitter that I'm going to Calgary, but
Yeah.
it was just rumors, I guess, and the deadline is over already. So I'm ready to play for Kelowna tonight.
All right, there you go. I like that. Hey, describe the difference in competition where you were playing in Sweden. I mean, obviously the top league in Sweden, you're playing against men, but the top junior league in Sweden versus the Western Hockey League over here in North America. Which league is better? Which league is more difficult to play in?
I would say both are good leagues, but you know, when you look travel wise on the WHL and you know the amount of games, I think it's not even, you know, faster on the ice because the rinks are smaller and you know, more physical in here, but the travel is also more mentally tougher, I would say, and you know, lots of games also. So I think it's harder in here in Western Hockey League.
Okay, and so how did you end up in Kelowna? They obviously drafted you in the import draft, but did the Blues encourage you to come over?
Also, yeah, but most of it, we talked with my agent and we thought it's gonna be the best step for me to kind of develop even more because I don't think you know, I still have a lot to improve, I would say. So for me, the most important was playing time and, you know, get some confidence in me, and I think it worked.
Yeah, well, we've seen you a couple times come over prospect camps and whatnot, and like I said, it was great to see you perform in the World Junior Championships. Did you expect your team to be as competitive as you were? Did you think you guys would be that good?
Um, Good question. You know, a lot of people were kind of doubting us, you know, that we didn't take this player or that player. But I kind of knew that we were gonna stick together again, and you know, I think we kind of have it in our Czech mentality. You know, we just stick together as a team, and we are, or we can die on the ice for the nation. So I think it was good.
I love that. Back home, how much reaction were you guys getting as a team? Is the country, I mean, are they paying attention and watching the games in the World Juniors, and what was the reaction back home?
Yeah, you know, I still get messages until this day, like from the fans. You know, even little kids. Like, I'm pretty sure people watch it even if the games are, you know, 1:30 a.m. in the at night, or you know, they just wake up and support us. So it's unreal. I don't think it's the same support as from Team Canada, but I think the people are watching for sure also.
Okay, so tell me about your performance, man. I mean, listen, it was kind of a coming out party for you. Even though we've seen you score in the past and everyone knew you had some offensive ability, but you really elevated your game here in the tournament. What was the biggest difference for you, and what do you think led to your offensive contribution?
Mhm. I think I had a good start of the season in here in Kelowna, and I just wanted to build on that. And yeah, I just tried to, as I said, I tried to enjoy every moment of it, and be with the boys in the locker room, talk in my own language. That helps also. And yeah, I think my confidence went up as the tournament went. So I think it was an unreal experience.
How nice is that to be able to be in a dressing room and speak your native language, versus speaking English? I would imagine you're talking
Yeah,
English all the time there in Kelowna.
I am. Yeah. No, it's a big difference also, you don't have to translate anything. So you just kind of enjoy with the boys. Yeah.
All right, so you led the tournament in goal scoring. What was your favorite goal that you scored in the tournament?
Good question. Good question. I don't know. I liked each and every one of them, but you know what I'm gonna say? The one against Canada.
The one timer from Juracek?
No. Or you mean the team or me?
You. Sorry. I'm trying to remember which goal you're talking about, but go ahead.
Yeah, on the power play when I missed the net, and their defender, he threw it in his own net.
Oh, that one. He gloved it in there. I know you,
Yeah.
you gotta get the bounces, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
I
That
don't
was
think
my favorite, I think.
I don't think that was Canada's favorite, Jakub. Okay, they didn't like that one.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they didn't.
Was that the first goal of the game or the second goal?
Or it was 1-1 and it was on 2-1. So third goal.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was a huge play. Obviously, you get a bounce like that, that'll give you some momentum, and it's tough to overcome those type of goals that are scored against you. Um, do you talk to your teammates there for the Czech Republic who are also drafted by the Blues? Juracek, you got Koss, Adam Jeko scored some real big goals as well. How much do you guys talk about the future, about one day playing here in St. Louis?
Um, not much, I would say, but yeah, we're definitely friends, and as you said, Adams scored some unreal goal. So I'm definitely happy for him and for all the other guys that they played a big part of our team, I think, and it was nice to get the medal with them also.
All right, tell me about Jeko because he plays in the Western League as well in Edmonton. And listen, he can score some goals, and he scored some real big goals for you guys. What type of offensive potential do you think he has moving forward?
Obviously he's a big guy, tall guy, great hockey sense. He can rip the puck also. I think he has a great future ahead of him, and I think he's showing some good stuff. So I think he's a good player, yeah.
And same thing with Juracek. I mean, we haven't had a chance to see him play a whole lot since he was drafted because of his injury. He didn't participate in prospect camp. He wasn't really doing much during main training camp as well. So, where do you think he's at in terms of health wise? Getting back to playing healthy, and what kind of tournament do you think he had?
Yeah, I think he played only 3 games before the tournament. So I think he did a great job also. And yeah, I think he's gonna keep getting better and better, and I think he's gonna be a good player in the future also.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he has
Yeah.
some. He got better and better by the game in the tournament. You could tell, and
Yeah.
he quarterbacks the power play real well. I mean, he made some great passes to you on the flank where he just put it on a tee for you to one time the puck. I mean, his passing ability. Did you always know that was a strength of his game?
Yeah, I think everybody knows that he has some unreal hockey sense, and he can, even breakouts or as you said on the power play, he can pass the puck wherever he wants to. So yeah, as I said, good player.
Yeah, I think it was in the semis, right, where he made that beautiful pass to you to his left for a one timer, right? It was the game-winning goal. Is that remind me about that play? It was a beautiful pass to his left, and you one-timed it in.
Um, I think that was against Sweden, but it was, he passed the puck to Yeho, and then Adam passed it to me, So there
Okay.
wasn't Jirichek passing to me, but Yeho passing to me.
I'm trying to remember. Too many Adams here, you know? I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm going off the top of my head trying to remember the play
No, it's all right.
specifically. But no, he made some real high-end plays, and it was great to see. How much have you
That's for
worked
sure.
on your shot over the last year or so?
Uh, I think I always try to improve my shooting and scoring ability, but I had a pretty tough surgery in May. So basically the whole summer I was shooting with one hand only, and I think that might help with my grip also. And I just started using my left hand in September. So since that time, I tried to get back on track with my shot, and I think it worked.
So you had hand surgery. Was that where you had the surgery? Do you have a broken hand? What was it?
It was a tendon in my wrist,
Ah.
so it was four and a half months.
Mm-hmm. Coming into your draft year, and I mean, because you don't play like a fourth round pick. I mean, you play like a guy that should have been drafted way higher than that. But people talked about your skating, maybe you having to improve your skating. I mean, you watch during the tournament, your skating looked great. I mean, pace doesn't appear to be a problem with you at all. How much do you think your skating has improved over the course of the last year or two?
Yeah, I also read some stuff from the people, that I have to improve my skating, and I agree with them. But yeah, I try to improve this summer because as I said, I wasn't shooting, so the main focus was my skating, and yeah, I try to improve that, and I think also that I got a little better, but still space to improve, I think.
Did you have a chance to see Doug Armstrong or Alexander Steen at the tournament? And if so, were you able to spend any time with them?
No, actually, not at all, not at all. We didn't meet, no.
Okay. 9 um Blues prospects participating in the tournament. Did you run into anybody? Did you see Dvorsky or anybody from any of the other countries and
Mhm.
get to see anybody? And I'm curious your thoughts on Dalibor as a player and if you look forward to playing with him one day.
Yeah, all the teams were at the same hotel except Canada, I think. So I met Dali, I met Uri, Pekarchik, even Otto Stenberg. So we just had a little chat. And then what was the second question you said?
How much do you look forward to playing with those guys one day?
Yeah, obviously all of these guys are unreal players, and yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully one day we'll play together. Yeah.
Who stood out the most to you of all the players you played against? Who was the most impressive player that you saw play at the tournament outside of somebody on Czechia's roster?
Okay. Um, I always liked. It doesn't have to be a blues prospect, right?
Well, give me one
Or
that's a Blues prospect, and then give me another guy.
okay. I think Cole Hudson as a
Yeah.
defender leading the scoring in at the tournament. That's obviously unreal. And then one more, Sandin Pelika. I always loved him. Great defender, hopefully, or it's my kind of dream to play with him one day. Um, one of the blues, I think, yeah, Dali or Otto. They, I think they had a good tournament also.
How well do you get to know these guys at prospect camps and training camps and whatnot? Do you get to spend some time and get to know those guys? I know the Swedes haven't been over for main camp, but do you get to spend some time with these guys in prospect camp?
Yeah, for sure. We have two development camps behind us already. So we got to know each other pretty well, I think. And I was rooming with Otto also. So yeah, I got to know them well.
Okay, so what's the next step for you? You think next year you're ready to turn pro? Do you expect to turn pro after this season? What are you thinking after this year? moving into next season? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I always set some goals for myself at the start of the season. So yeah, the goal is to hopefully turn pro and yeah, have a good season.
Did you hear from anybody on the Blues? Did anybody reach out to you during the tournament?
Yeah, so the development guy, Matt D'Agostini,
Oh yeah.
we chat every once in a while and we talk about the games and stuff. So him and then yeah, I think that was everyone.
I was talking to Radek Foxa about you, and
Oh, really?
he's paying attention, obviously, to the tournament, man. And he knew all your stats, all your numbers. He knew everything. So you got the attention of a lot of people. What did you guys do that night when you guys beat Sweden in the semifinal, or the bronze medal game, I should say? What do you guys do afterwards? Do you just split up and everybody goes their separate ways, or did you guys have a chance to celebrate as a team?
Yeah, so we celebrated in the locker room first, and then yeah, I don't know if I can say it, but we just went to a bar, had a couple beers, and that's it.
That's what I'm talking about, Jakub. You got to get to the bar and go ahead, celebrate. What's the drinking rate age in the Czech Republic anyway? Is it 18?
It's 18, yeah.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
18.
You're of age. You're of age. And I think
Yeah.
what is in Canada? 19?
Uh, I'm not sure actually. I
Yeah.
don't know. Might be 19, yeah.
Yeah. They don't, it doesn't matter. You go wherever you want, okay, Jakub? It doesn't matter. Hey, but before I let you go, let's talk about that shootout, though. 14 rounds. I mean, it was so intense and so much fun to watch.
Mhm.
You scored your first attempt. What's it like now going again and again, and now it becomes a mental game? Do you go to the same move? Do you try to do something different? Take us inside your head what you were thinking there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, obviously, as you said, I scored the first one. So yeah, you just try to do something different, I would say. You know, it's a lot of nerves, that's for sure. But yeah, you just you just always try to score.
So what were you guys saying to each other on the bench? Because you went after you scored. I mean, nobody else scored for a while, I believe, at least for you guys. What are you guys giving each other ideas and things to look at and say, hey, we got to go glove side, we got to go blocker side? Because not many guys were shooting. Everyone was trying to deke, right?
Yeah. It's usually the goalie coach we ask for some tips because he, scouts the opponent's goalies. So we also usually have a before the game we have a paper on the wall like where should we shoot and stuff like that. So we asked him and he gave us some tips, but I personally I didn't do what he said.
No? What was he telling you to do? You should have listened to him then, man. Maybe not. I don't know. You scored on your first attempt, and that was a nice one.
Maybe I should listen to him on the second and third one, but he said, because the goalie goes with his hands forward, so maybe fake him and then go between his legs. That's what he said. That's what Edward did also on the
His second to last
13 round.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
that's
able
what
to
he did.
just squeak it in. It looked like the goaltender tried to poke it a little bit, missed on his poke check, and he was able to, kind of squirt the puck between his legs there. So, yeah. And,
Exactly.
and then he went backhand shelf on the last one. Was that your
Yeah.
idea? Did you say, hey, go backhand?
I didn't say no.
What was, what was your reaction when he scored?
No, I think I was the first guy hugging him, so it was a lot of emotions, and yeah, it was unreal to go through that.
Hey, a couple more things. I'm going to let you go. Who was your hockey hero growing up? Who did you love watching, and who do you still love watching to this day? Who's your favorite player?
Good question. A lot of players, but I think as every Czech guy, you look up to Jaromir Jagr since you're a kid. So since I was a kid, and my generation, we always used to love Jagr, Elias, Patrick Elias, and then right now I kind of like to watch Barkov, Reinhardt, these guys. But yeah, Jaromir Jagr, number one, I would say.
What about the Blues? Do you pay attention to the Blues? You ever get a chance to watch their games?
Like right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried every time I have a chance. I try to watch their games, and yeah, it's every once in a while because they don't have it on the TV here. It's usually the Canucks who are on the TV here in Kelowna. But yeah, when there's Blues, I watch the Blues.
Anybody that you really got to know at training camp, or any of the the players from the NHL roster that were around at prospect camp. Anybody that you got to know that you get to pick their brain a little bit and get to talk to.
Yeah, most of them I would say Radek Faksa. He took us over for dinner and drove us in his Porsche. That was probably the nicest thing. But yeah, you know, all of those NHL stars, you just kind of say hi to them, and then you're like shy to go around them. But yeah, I try to get to know them.
Yeah, don't be shy. Don't be shy, Jakub. Now,
Yeah.
now you're an international hero too, right? Our national hero, I should say. Have you done a lot of media over in the Czech Republic? A lot of media reach out to you?
Really, I would say not really.
No? Okay.
No, no.
Well, we brought you here on Hockey Sense. I had to get you on, man. It was so much fun watching you play and seeing your team have success, see you be a big part of it, and all the best the rest of the way with Kelowna. How's the team looking here down the stretch?
Yeah, right now we had a lot of trades. Today also our head coach left even before the game, so it's kind of crazy right now. But I think everything is settled now, and we're gonna have to build the team again, and hopefully make the playoff spot.
He left. Where'd he go? He get fired? Is that what happened?
I actually don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
No, I don't know.
It doesn't
They
matter.
just announced to us this morning before the pregame skate.
Okay. Wow. So there's a
Mm,
lot of things that are happening. Where's that bronze
yeah,
medal? Do you have it back with you in Kelowna?
I do.
Put it on.
I didn't get the chance to go home to Czechia,
Yeah.
so I went straight to Kelowna. But it's actually in my backpack still.
I want to see it, man. You should be wearing it during the interview here.
You want to see it?
Yeah, let's see it. Hey, did you have any family over there watching the games too?
Yeah, I had my family, sister, sister, mom, her husband, my sister's husband, and their kids also. So
Okay.
yeah, every time I had some free time, I had the chance to spend it with them, and it was nice. Something else from hockey also, not just hockey only.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let me see that medal, and I'll let you go. Look at that. Look at that.
There it is.
I love it, man.
Can I put it on my neck?
Hey, what's your plan during the summer when the season's over? Are you going to go back home and train this summer, or what are you going to do?
Yeah, so I usually spend my summers in Czechia with my skills coach and ice coach. So it's gonna be nice. I'm excited for it.
Okay. Hey, congrats once again, man. And good luck tonight, and good luck the rest of the way this season there in Kelowna. And look forward to seeing you back at Prospect Camp here this summer. I would imagine you're going to come back over for camp, and we'll see you then. And like I said, good luck and congratulations. Great job, and way to represent the organization and your country. You did a great job doing that.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for the interview.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
All right. Bye.
See you. All right, let's bring in Jamal Mayers. We just had Jakub Stancl on, led the World Juniors in goal scoring. He's a fourth-round pick. Were you a fourth-round pick?
I was, but there's less teams in. But I would have been in the third round if it was
What do you mean? Oh, because there were
89,
32.
89th overall.
How many teams were in the league when you got drafted?
That's a great question. I want to say
Like was
24.
like Ottawa was there already, and
Yeah, would have been one. Well,
Yeah,
that was
we were
when
there.
Daig went first.
okay, off the same draft.
Yeah.
We had Alexander Daig on the podcast, Chemistry podcast. I actually love talking to him. He's
Probably
fun.
should have taken prongs.
Yeah. Well, hindsight's 2020.
It always is.
We had Rick Bowness on too, who was coaching Ottawa at the time. It's always in. You just never know. I mean,
Bones, he's a great hockey man.
did you ever have him?
No, but I did some games in Winnipeg the last few years, and I always found it refreshing and interesting to chat with him because such a very thoughtful person when it comes to the game.
Yeah.
Has seen so much and changed as the game has changed. Just a solid hockey person.
Who's your favorite assistant coach you ever had?
Ooh, probably Fraser.
Oh, Kurt Fraser.
Kurt Fraser. The reason,
massive hands.
yes, and a scary man when he played. But it's funny. Like you get put into a role and you accept your role. And he was like one of the first coaches that was like, "Hey, like you could do more."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I can." And so that was when I had my best year offensively. It was
0506.
when he was the assistant coach, and it really was attributed to him. I don't know if I've ever told him that, but it was a lot of his like encouraging me of doing things more and taking on more and doing more. So it goes a long way.
Big fan of Kurt Fraser and his sons, man. A couple of his sons came through the AAA Blues program and played for our U18 team. And he's just a great guy. And as an NHL coach, like he just he didn't interfere with the coaches or anything like that. He just came and watched the games. He was coaching the Belarus national team for a while. He's still coaching somewhere.
Is he really?
Yes.
Great guy.
And I'm trying to remember exactly where he's at. Tough player back in the day. Wasn't he? You had 15 goals that year. The team was terrible.
We were.
But I always tell you the story about how I won a bet that you would score 15 goals.
It's pretty funny.
You scored a bunch of 6-on-5 goals that year. You were on the ice. Not a
How
bunch.
is that even possible?
I don't know. But you were on the ice for like 6-on-5. Not a bunch, but you did score some 6-on-5 goals.
Trhanks, Andy.
The one goal I remember you scoring, actually, I don't know why. It's just because I think it's the game. It was Brett Hall night. The Blues had no fans, but they just kept having Brett Hall nights every year.
Well, that's the night they retired his jersey.
They retire his jersey. They would retire Al McKenna's. So they retired Al's jersey, then Brett Hall. It was the only way to get sellouts at that time because the team wasn't very good. But it was Brett Hall night, and you came down the right wing slap shot goal. I don't know if it was Osgood or Hasek.
Hasek.
It was Hasek, yeah. Okay, so you guys were up 3-0 but lost the game. And I'll just tell the story now. I don't even care. I mean, Dallas Drake called me after the game. He said, "We got to do something. We need a change." He's the captain of the team. He's like breaking down the system. So I'm like writing a story, like breaking down like the system. They never go cross ice coming out of their own end, They just go straight up the wall. Just stretch it straight up the strong side. They never cross. So you guys went to Detroit the next night, I think. It was like back-to-back games against Detroit. And then poor Mike Kitchen got fired shortly after that.
Yeah, that's
3-0. The house was going crazy, and your goal was early in the game, and it was like on a Jamal Mayers slap shot, streaking down the right wing, and you lose the game.
I know, short side shelf,
and that was like a heavyweight Detroit team at the time.
Yeah, they were good. It was, you know what? It was a tough year. I felt bad for Kitch. We weren't very good. It's tough to have a positive attitude in a losing environment. But I think probably that was my demise. I think that the powers that be saw me on the ice with 6-on-5 and me scoring 15 goals. They're like, we got to change this and get rid of this guy.
I know, but they just signed you to a contract extension.
I know. It's kind of a sore spot, Andy.
So I know. So when you got traded to Toronto, were you upset?
Yes.
Okay.
I signed a 3-year deal.
You didn't expect it at all.
No, I did not.
Okay.
Did not. You just had a baby 9 days earlier, so Harper was born. So, if I wanted to go to Toronto, I could have not signed an extension.
You might have gotten more money.
A day, not much more, but I would have gotten more. Crazy to think, but at that time I was in a good spot, and I was happy to continue my career. This is where I wanted to be, and things happen. I didn't get any guarantees. It's my own issue. It could have taken less and gotten some security from no movement, but that would have come at a cost. And so, I knew full well that that could happen. I was disappointed that it happened after year one, if I'm being honest. If it happens after year two, I think it's a little bit easier to swallow, but after year one, it's like, okay.
After year two, that becomes more of a business.
Yeah, that's fine. That would have been fine.
Yeah. All right, so the Blues are scoring goals in bunches right now. You know, they won last night against Anaheim. They had lost 2 previous games in Columbus and in Minnesota. I said in the previous segment, I thought that Minnesota loss was the worst of the year just because you don't have Kaprizov, you don't have Faber, who left the game early. You didn't have Spurgeon. You scored 4 goals unanswered to take a 4-2 lead on the road. That's a game that you probably should win. So that was disappointing. I know they've had some other losses against some weak teams that you say, well, that's got to be the worst loss. But this one felt a little bit different. So it was good to see them rebound. But, you know, Jordan Kyrie's scoring a ton of goals right now. He's got 19 goals on the season. He's in position to get to 30 for the 4th consecutive year. He's +8, I think, on the year right now. Is it just me, or does he look like a different player?
You know what? I feel like I think Monty is like the like a horse whisperer of sorts, and like he has a really good sense of what the game was like before.
Mm-hmm.
I think it helps that he was a very skilled player himself, so I think that he knows how to relate to those players to allow them to have a certain amount of freedom, but also understand they have to play with a certain sense of structure, and they're going to get a little bit of leeway, as they should, in my opinion, to try things, do things, cheat on occasion, because the risk reward is worth it. And I feel like skilled players want that leash.
Mm-hmm.
And when you give them that responsibility, and there's a mutual respect, I think that Monty does a great job of that. And I think that you're seeing that in how he's been able to get the best out of his best players, and also more out of players that he sees that can do more.
Yeah.
Like guys like Holloway.
Yeah. Well, because you're saying, if I'm understanding it correctly, is like, hey, it's not mental where if I make a mistake here, I'm gonna hear about it when I come back to the bench. You know what I mean? And he may hear about it still, but the message may be sent a little bit differently.
That's it. It's the message, I'm sure, is sent because he's not going to let it. Like you could tell he would do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's how he delivers it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he understands how each person can take it. Like he probably knows that he could be hard on Marchand and get in his face and do that.
Yeah.
Whereas he's got to do the same thing but differently to Kyrou, perhaps.
Yeah.
And because it's important that he still makes sure they know in a team setting, or else players are going to be like, wait a second, why are you saying something to him?
Yeah.
Like I don't think players care how it's being delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to be delivered differently.
Yeah.
And I think that isn't how it used to be, but I think that that's one of Monty's great skills. And I think that the biggest point for me about it is that becomes sustainable, right? Because now it's a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, it's a partnership. It's not like, it's almost like you're disappointing your uncle, right? Yeah. So versus like fear. Mm-hmm. I think those days of fear are gone. And I think that his ability to like make them understand that he wants the best for them personally too is really an amazing skill. I'd love to pick his brain about how he goes about that.
Well, one thing he's been able to do is establish a second line and a top 6 that complement one another, where you don't have to play Kyrou and Thomas together. You can split them up and now have 2 scoring lines and really elevate a guy like Holloway, where you talk about, you know, the horse whisperer or whatever. I mean, whatever he's telling Holloway obviously is working. This guy's got 15 goals in the season. He may get to 30. Who knows what his numbers are going to look like when it's all said and done. But the chemistry that Holloway and Kyrou specifically are showing, and I know Braden Chen's a big part of that too, centering that line, but it's the Holloway and Kyrou show right now.
Yeah, I think that I think of one word that's overused in today's game as an analyst and us who talk about the game perhaps is staying connected. And I think that they do a really good job of staying connected, but it's important to define what that means. It means that they are within 6 to 10 feet of each other as a support until they don't need it anymore. So there's an assumption. Staying connected means you're going to support me. If I get stopped, I'm able to pop it to you, or I can make those 10 8-foot passes to you, release from pressure to you, And that's what connected means all over the ice.
Yeah.
And I think that they do a really good job of not getting stopped. You see, when they're having success in the offensive zone, they very rarely get stuck on the boards. It's because right before the moment of them getting stuck, they move it to that quick support, that connected support that frees the next guy up. And so that's the key, I think, to really good forechecking and cycling opportunities and chances is don't allow yourself to get pinned.
Yeah.
Move the puck right before or right after you do and pop it, even defensively, to allow yourself to escape the pressure and the it doesn't matter how they're defending. Allow you to create that space for each other.
Yeah. And Kyrou and Holloway both have the ability to score from that area of the ice too, right?
Which helps. I think that, you put a guy who can't really score from distance.
It's hard, yeah.
It's difficult because, well, I'll be honest with you, it's difficult, but it becomes more important for Shen as the guy who reads off of things and gets to net. It becomes more important for him to get to the inside because there's going to be rebounds and he might be the benefactor.
Yeah.
So,
and he has been a couple times,
right? So
like rebound goals.
So it's not a negative. I think that there's going to be chances where they're shooting for action.
Yeah.
Like if you see Shenner get behind the D, like what I mean by that is you're just going to give up your shot in a sense and like just put it off the pillows, just looking for giving him reward for that. And sometimes you're looking to score. And I think that they have the ability to figure that out on the fly.
This is the first time in a while you can say the Blues, they just look like they're just aligned the way they should be. Players know their role. They're playing to their roles. I mean, a guy like Nathan Walker is just impacting the game every single night with his physicality. He's running Gudis last night. He's running Trouba. They're chasing him all over the ice. Although Trouba had no interest in even playing in the game last night, it looked like. Hey, he just didn't even really respond. But Gudis was, I thought, a little bit frustrated, and, you can tell that he wants to win, so that's not easy. I got to ask you about Cam Fowler, though. How, just one player, how much of a difference it can make in terms of, you talk about balance offensively. Well, now they're able to kind of, balance their defensive pairs appropriately. You don't have to overplay Ryan Suter. You can put him with a young player like Tyler Tucker. Tucker's playing his best hockey he's ever shown up here in the NHL. Scored a goal last night, but just playing a quiet game. He's one of those guys, if you don't notice him, it's probably a good thing. He's not making mistakes, playing really simple. But, Broberg and Falk, on the second pair, I mean, that's a really strong top four with Parayko and Fowler up top.
It is. And I think that, you don't really get to see Fowler. I mean, I played against him, so he's been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
He's just, first of all, his skating jumps off the page. And because of that, he's able to defend well enough, but he's more of an offensive type of guy, understands the game. And I think the way the game has trended over the course of his career has benefited him, and he's become even more valuable because the game becomes less heavy and it's more about creating plays, holding on the pucks, joining the rush. Like that is his game.
Yeah.
And I think that, for him, I think you're seeing a renewed energy. Sometimes when you're in one place and it starts to go downhill, your energy starts to get zapped out of you. I think that this has re-energized him and got him excited again about, his value and what he can do on a good team. And so, and he's in the right spot, with the right players and in the right situation. And so I think that it was a really, really smart pickup, especially if they made the analysis that, yeah, exactly, that Krug is where he is and whatever is going to happen with him. And so I think I always think it's a brilliant move. I know we're talking about December or whatever it was made, but getting ahead of what's going to happen, like looking ahead of like who's going to be available March, who's going to be looking to be moved. Let's get ahead of the market and look at what we could do to fill holes now, and it's really worked out well.
And I'll say this, and I forgot to talk about this in the opening segment, so I apologize, but I talked to Nick Leddy for a long time yesterday. Like, he fully expects to come back and play. He's starting to feel better. He's skating, he's getting on the ice, but not just getting on the ice and skating. Like, he's feeling healthy, and he's getting closer and closer. He told me he's going to play. So you get him back now.
Yeah.
And obviously that probably removes a guy like Tucker from the equation.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it pushes Suter out. I mean,
you're right.
That's okay. I think that
you're right.
I mean, he's an older guy, and I think that if you really look ahead to bringing him in, what does this look like in March? I think as an organization, my thinking would be that you want Tucker to push him out.
Yeah.
And that's not saying taking anything away from Suits. Is that and I think
he's
that
played fine. Like that would be a difficult decision.
yes, but maybe they're thinking like, I hope we're wrong, or like that's a good hedge to have.
Yeah.
And if what's the worst case scenario? Tucker's not ready, and Suter can, like that's the idea.
Yeah.
The
And
whole,
you don't know what you're going to get from Letty either. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's missed a lot of time. He's only played 4 games this season. The injury that he's going through is different. You don't know how he's going to respond and how he's going to react to it. So until he gets back out there and plays. So you're right, but it's interesting. I just automatically assumed coming into the season that Suter playing his last season, and who knows, maybe now he's going to want to play into next year. If he can continue to play the way that he is, maybe he just wants to keep playing. But I thought that if the Blues weren't in position to make the playoffs, he still wants to win a Stanley Cup. That maybe he'd be looking to go elsewhere at the trade deadline and join a contending team. I don't know how many contending teams are looking for guys who are 40 plus years of age, 1,500 games, obviously a ton of experience there. But the way he's playing, there could be some interest.
I think so.
But if you're the Blues right now, with where they're at, do you lean towards hanging on to him? I mean, you're not going to get a first round pick for him, right?
No,
So
I think you let the teams play. I mean, Army's been doing this for a long time. I think you just let the teams play dictate what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to make that decision.
No, you don't have to make a decision now. I'm just asking.
But I think that
if they're 3 points out,
if the team's close, you keep them. If it doesn't look like they're going to make it, you get a pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that then it allows another younger guy perhaps to take up some of those minutes to see what you have in the cupboard and see who could potentially be ready for next.
And even if they're 3 points out or 5 points out, whatever, Doug Armstrong, to your point, he knows where this team is going. Whether they're going to make the playoffs or they're not going to make the playoffs. Are they good enough to make the playoffs? And what are they capable of doing once they get to the playoffs? I mean, if you get goaltending, which the Blues goaltending has been just okay the last week or so. Binnington's had some shutouts there against Detroit and Ottawa, but probably didn't play his best game against Minnesota, didn't have his best game against Buffalo. Hofer didn't have his best game against Columbus. Last night, the second goal he gave up was an interesting one. I think Jamie Rivers even called it awkward technique, the way he kind of pushed off and came from his right to his left. Wasn't exactly the way you probably are taught in goaltending school, but they both have the ability, and so you have to. I think you just have to assume you're going to get good goaltending, based on the goalies that you have on the roster. So we have some time before you get there, but we'll be there before you know it. There's no doubt about it. But Tucker's a guy who I want to give him a little bit of a shout out because he could have, and I don't know, just for me, I've never been in that situation, how I would handle playing in the NHL and then not making a team out of training camp and getting sent down and being able to maintain a positive attitude to go down there and play really well and then get an opportunity to come back up to where you're ready mentally to play too, where you just don't sulk and just be angry the whole time, I don't think you would handle that very well, Jamal.
I did, buddy, for 2.5 years.
Yeah, well, I'm saying okay. Later in your career, though, I mean, it's just, that's got to be difficult, right? To go up and down.
100%. I think that you start to question whether you're good enough. You start to, for me, it was always about, if I'm good enough, it's not just for the Blues. I'm playing every night to get the eye of someone. All I need is one other team to see something to be like, I think we could use this guy.
Yeah.
I think this guy could help us.
Yeah.
And so I think if you have that mindset, but honestly, after coming out of an entry-level deal, I had given myself those 3 years to make it. I would not have stayed as a minor league player as a career.
You wouldn't have.
That was not my plan.
Would you have gone to Europe?
No, I would have.
You would have gotten into something.
I would have gone back to school.
You wouldn't have played 600-700 games down in the American League.
No.
Did you get NHL games your first year pro?
Yes.
You did. And then what about your second year?
No, we had fired Keenan, and they did not call up a forward after having that carousel. A bunch of guys did not call up a forward for
So you stayed down in the American League for a full season.
Yes.
But you had a bunch of guys down there who ended up playing.
Yeah, but they once they called up Conroy and Pellerin, they did not, they stayed. When Keenan got fired, I got sent down, and no one went back up.
Really?
For almost a
Who
year.
else was down there? Was Ryan Johnson down there?
No, I don't think so. No.
Salvador was down there,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Who else?
Relo.
Jax? No, Jax wasn't down there.
No.
I just felt like there was some guys. Pellerin, man. He played with Jim Montgomery back in. Did you play Maine ever?
I did in the LA, whatever that LA tournament is called as a freshman. That team was ridiculous.
Were they really?
Oh my!
You play against
With
Korea in college?
and yeah,
Okay.
I was a freshman. He was a freshman.
Yeah.
He had 100 points.
He had 100
I had
points.
25.
Freshman.
He had only 75 points more than me.
Yeah, I know. But like, but they all had like 90 plus points.
It was ridiculous. I don't even know what the score was. It'd be interesting to know.
Mm-hmm. Who'd you have on your team?
Joe Corvo? No, he was a freshman when I was a senior.
Okay.
As a freshman, we didn't have anybody.
Not much.
No, I think that Keith Jones and Mike Eastwood had just left like 2 or 3 years earlier.
Okay. Mike
But-
Eastwood, he had a nice career too.
He did. He actually, I
Based
credit
off
him
that.
for like me helping change my career trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember we'd go to dinner and I'd be like, Mike, like, no offense, but like, how are you on the ice at the end of the game?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm good at faceoffs. I'm like, and my light went off in my head. I'm like, I got to get good at faceoffs. I got to find a way to get
Yeah.
good at faceoffs.
Were you playing? Did you come up as a center?
Oh, everyone, I would say 90% of forwards come
Yeah.
up as a center, but college, I played center my first 3 years.
Mhm.
And then my senior year, the Blues said, he's not playing center. So they put me on the wing. And so I played wing as a senior
Yeah.
and then started my career as a winger. And then I think, once you show you can play a little bit of center as you get older, then you can play either.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah. But kids can play wing too. Like, yeah.
But I think the game's changed. Like guys like Panarin, Kane,
Yeah. They're all wingers.
they're, Kucherov, like it used to be whoever transports the puck through the neutral zone is the center.
Kyrie's a winger.
That's not how it works anymore.
Yeah.
Like these guys go wherever they want. The
Mhm.
game's much more fluid.
Oh yeah. If you ever watch exactly, it's like you're trying to teach kids how to play your position, and then they watch an NHL game, and they're literally all over the.
It doesn't work, especially if some teams that swarm. It's all about who's
the D
the
zone,
first forward, the second forward, third forward. It doesn't matter position.
Mhm.
So it becomes a lot more difficult. I think the game is actually, not to digress, but the game is trending toward positionless. I think in the next 15 years, you're going to see, you might start to shift as a D, but you might play it as a forward. And the forwards might start as a forward, and then all of a sudden they're playing as a D, like literally the entire shift
Yeah.
because of the way it's going to be interchangeable.
Yeah. I'll let you go, but Cam Fowler gets a nice Rolex watch last night. A Bruce Wayne.
I got a
Rolex.
funny story about that. So when Brad May got traded from Anaheim to Toronto, and I'm going to call out prongs on this one, he was 8 games away from 1,000 games. So
And that's why Berkey brought him there, because he knew him in Anaheim. He brought him there so he could get to 1,000 games, and Brad May acknowledges that.
did he?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, great. So he gets there, and we're like, he's 8 games away, and then I'm one of the older guys, obviously, on the team. I'm like, we got to get him something. So we got him this beautiful $24,000 watch. Everybody's got to give it $1,000. So I call Prongs. I'm like, hey, Prongs, your boy Mayday that you won a cup with is 8 games away from a cup. Do you guys want to contribute? He's like, nope, we're good. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, no. I'm like, he might not remember it or admit it, but that's what happened. I'm
But
like,
the difference is,
all right. So we've known him a week,
Yeah.
bought him a ridiculous watch, which he's super grateful for.
Mhm.
Awesome guy. I'll tell you the second funny part of the story. His name's May. My name's Mayers. I got the trainers to carve out my name, ERS, on my stick. And part of his gift, when we presented it to him, we gave him one of my sticks, which is right curve. He's lefty. It said, we figured out what the issue was all these years. You're actually right-handed. Here's your new stick, because it said May on it.
That's funny. But in the difference, though, I don't want to say in Pronger's defense, it doesn't surprise me at all. But this was different from the standpoint that Fowler had played 991 games with one organization. They had ordered the watch prior to the trade. It got traded at 991, so they were way out in front of it. They had the T-shirts made prior to the trade. They had the watch ordered prior to the trade. They had the bracelet for the wife ordered
I
prior to.
understand.
So it was like they had that. They brought him over to the hotel 2 nights ago at the Ritz to present he and his wife with these gifts, and his son. They gave him a watch too, the 2-year-old. It was like a Disney Cars watch,
cute.
but it was cool. They included him into. So, yeah, It's interesting, but it's not like Brad May had spent as long with, but he had won a cup there and stuff like that. Like they should have had something already planned.
He was literally 8 games away.
So say, hey, yeah, we already ordered this golf trip, or we already ordered this trip, so yeah, we're just gonna give it to him. Like,
yeah,
Fong says no.
I think it becomes a funnier story that he said no.
He said no.
No, we're good.
So it was up to you guys. Because we were talking about that.
And so
last night.
that kind of like, dude, I finished. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox, but paid for a lot of these gifts, right? Like probably 15, 20 of them. That's 20 grand, right? And I'm like, dude, oh man, I just I'm 85 games away with a lockout and 2 lockouts and a major injury. I'm like,
see, I will say,
I'll give you my idea.
Even the silver stick was paid for by the Anaheim Ducks because they had that order.
I think it was cool that they had both teams on the ice. I've never seen that before. That was a really neat idea to do that, especially in the unique situation.
Yeah.
I do have an idea that the PA should do is like once you reach like 400, there should be a set gift, like a really nice gift you should get at 400, 500, 600, 700. Like every different.
You don't get anything for every.
You don't get anything. I think you should get something.
Yeah.
Just to be able to like really recognize like let's say a guy plays 620 games. 600 games is an amazing career.
Brandon Saad played his 900th game last night.
That's crazy. I was there for number 1. And Let's played 1,000.
Yeah, he's played 1,015.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I know, man. It goes fast, I guess.
It does. I tell him.
I know, but Brandon Saad, so hopefully he'll get to 1,000. He should get to 1,000. He can still play. It's. Do you fall off a cliff quickly? Like, do you know when you can't play anymore?
I think the game become like, what it became difficult for me? When I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old watching you play, and at 38 you might have to fight a 24-year-old, and you're like, it starts to get in your head like, this would not be good for them if I get knocked out, right? Whereas when you're 28, 29, 30, you're like, let's do this. Like you don't really care.
Yeah.
And then when you get a little bit older and you're like maybe a little bit slower, you're like, I don't know if I really want to be doing this. Not that that's all I did, but that could happen. Yeah. And then it starts to mess with your head a little bit.
I got to ask you one more thing, then I'm going to let you go. This whole situation in Vancouver right now between Pettersson and JT Miller. Did anything ever come close to that during the course of your career where guys just hated each other so much where it became such a story? And if that's even the case, I mean, listen, I know that JT Miller's hard on his teammates and whatever. I don't know how much hatred there is, but regardless, where a conflict between teammates became such a public story.
No, I think that I grew up in a different time. Do we have teammates that were, you got to think about the teams we had. You're telling me we didn't have alphas in our room that didn't get along? We absolutely did. What it also takes is, I think when things fell off the rails, and I'm not in that situation, but I been in enough locker rooms over the course of 15 years to know this, is that I think it's okay for JT Miller to be that guy to Pettersson. What JT Miller didn't have when Luke Schenn left was the ability to say, hey, okay, back off a bit. I agree with you, but you're pushing.
You're saying Luke Schenn would be that guy.
Luke Schenn would be that guy to say, okay, that's enough. I agree, but you got to give it in doses.
Okay.
And we had that, taking it back to our group. We had the guys who, not publicly or not loudly or not in front of everybody, had the ability to say that to certain people. Okay, take a step back.
Yeah,
you guys need to.
You got your point across.
Exactly. And I think when you don't have that, and you don't have the other alphas there to like keep Miller at bay, because he's not wrong, right? Then you've got Pettersson who, quite frankly, couldn't handle it. And the poor optics that trouble me is now finding out that JT didn't leave because he was having, which we're all sensitive to, issues singularly on his own with his health or his mental health. It was more about the friction. And to me, when you remove JT, then that means that Pettersson wins. And so now that Pettersson wins, to me, JT has more value. I think more teams are going to want JT.
Oh yeah,
And so
he makes less money too.
why wouldn't you? Where's the push to Pettersson to like, okay, buddy, he is right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with, but who's telling Pettersson, no, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
We will work on how the message is being delivered.
Yeah.
But that's part of, that friction is healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy.
So you think the coaching staff or the general manager, somebody could maybe squash this or at least prevent it from becoming such a public issue?
I think so. And listen, Talk's been in more dressing rooms than I have, and he's probably frustrated at no end and had these conversations over and over again because he's the guy who I don't know very many would know more than him. But it is unfortunate. But I'm a firm believer that friction in a dressing room is good. All winning teams have it. They all have it. Arguments, confrontation, disagreements. That friction is good. When everyone gets along, it doesn't work.
No.
That's why it was brilliant for Army to bring in now my brain's escaping me. From Dallas, who's now an assistant coach. Who's the assistant coach for the Blues? Otter.
Steve Ott. Yeah. Okay.
When he brought in Otter.
Yeah. I was like, what?
My brain escaped me.
I was thinking of somebody you were like not thinking of.
That was a brilliant move because Otter, without even knowing him, would be that disruptor in the room because you had, in my opinion, a lot of really nice guys, right? That care, that don't want to really upset. You need someone to come in and shake the tree a little bit and disrupt things and make people uncomfortable. That is a healthy winning environment.
Yeah, and that's why, when Bortuzzo and Zach Sanford fought the year they won the cup in practice, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is the ultimate low," and whatever. But those are the things that kind of can galvanize a team, and you get it out of the way. You handle your business. I remember David Backes going after Tarasenko on the ice too. And I can specifically hear him yelling at Tarasenko when he's being held back by his teammates. Do it in a game. Do it in a game. Because they were doing like a one-on-one drill. And he probably got a stick up high or whatever on Backes, and he didn't like it. And so he just went after him. Do it in a game.
Yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes you just got to I think that internal friction, I agree with you, can be good if it's used properly. In this case, you can maybe argue maybe it's not being used properly because it's become such a distraction.
Yeah, it's really...
You had a player leave the team and all.
Yeah, I think that it got off the rails for them a little bit there. And I think that getting it back on is going to be even more difficult without a few alphas that can help.
Yeah. Okay. Who brought you
well,
Hockey Sense today?
No question about it. It's Dobbs. You think about they've been 48 years, extraordinary years, serving their customers in the greater St. Louis area, Southern Illinois, Cape Girardeau, Columbia, Missouri, and opening soon at Lake of the Ozarks. Simply amazing. Count on the Dobbs team of friendly and professional associates to take care of your family vehicles. Be sure to click on gotodobbs.com for more money saver winter driving tire deals today. Go to Dobbs.com for more.
Where are you having dinner tonight?
Oh, there's no question. Barlino's, 5 restaurants. Barlino's South, Barlino's Osteria, Chris's Pancake and Dining, and Chris's at the Docket. And now Barlino's Twin Oaks. Forged many lasting relationships with their customers. Their family model, cook good food, serve plenty. 50 plus years in business. Only 2 places to dine, at home or at one of Barlino's family of restaurants.
Okay. All right, Jammer. Great stuff, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Always.
Take care, bud.
All right, man. All right, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Jamal Mayers. Earlier in the show, Jakub Stancl, man, he was incredible. Here I'm calling him Jakub again instead of Jakub. But he was fantastic. And listen, these kids are so young and they're so raw still, even, throughout the interview process. I mean, it's different. And for this guy to do these interviews in English, and it's not his, first language, as you know, obviously. And that's not easy to do. I give him all the credit. And for him to have that type of performance in the tournament, represent the organization, it's got a lot of people excited now. I mean, like I said, he's elevated himself into the upper echelon with the Dvorskys and the Snuggeroods and some of these other guys that you expect to be impact players sooner than later. I can't put him in the same category as those guys. I think there's still more pressure on a Dvorsky, who's a 10th overall pick, and Snuggerud, who's a first-round pick. Juracek, obviously a first-round pick, but Stancl is a 4th-round pick. He could potentially be the steal of the draft if he's able to maintain his progression. But you want to pump the brakes. It is the World Junior Championship, and But you know what? He passed all the tests that was put in front of him at the tournament. He played fantastic and obviously scored some huge goals. But his goals were nice, too. I mean, he scored some beautiful goals. I know he joked around about the goals that, the goal that hit the end board and then came back out in front. They got the carom and it went off of Canada's, their defenseman's glove and into the net. But, I mean, he scored some beautiful one-timers, goals off the rush. You saw his hands that he has during the shootout as well. Good passer, had a number of assists as well. So I just want to get him on, man. I like getting the prospects on, give an idea of what they're all about and where their mindset is at moving forward here as they transition from junior hockey to eventual professional hockey. All right, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Hockey Sense. As always, brought to you by First Community. Sign your son or daughter up for Little Blues. Who knows? They could be the next Jakub Stancl. And learn how to shoot the puck. Get them started young. I think it starts at age 4, goes all the way up to age 9. If you've never played hockey before, and if your kids played for a couple of years, this is not for you. But if they've never played before, sign them up. You get all your equipment, and then you can kind of decide for yourself if this is something that you want to do. But it's brought to you by First Community. We have the St. Louis Blues Hall of Fame induction ceremony coming up in just a couple of weeks. That's also brought to you by First Community. So again, nobody gives back to the local hockey community more than First Community. So we love everything that they do to support hockey here in St. Louis. Blue Note Roofing. Again, call David Novak today. Let him come out and give you that free estimate. Some of these insurance companies will no longer pay for your roof if it's over 10 years old. That is true. So if you think you're going to need a new roof or that 10-year period is coming soon, then you're going to want to take advantage of David Novak with Blue Note Roofing. Otherwise, the insurance companies won't pay for it. Don't wait until you got to pay out of pocket for your new roof. Let the insurance company pay for it. Call David Novak today, 314-920-5713. Of course, Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop, Lordo's Diamonds, our friends over there at Arco Construction, everybody for their support of what we do here on Hockey Sense. For everybody here at Half Coast Studios, I'm Andy Strickland, reminding you to keep your head up and your stick on the ice. We thank Jamal Mayers for coming in as well. And we thank Aiden for coming in here at Half Coast Studios. It's been snowing all day long. People don't want to get on the road, but it doesn't stop Aiden from coming in and helping us bring you Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. We'll do it again next week. It's the Blues and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Saturday night, you can watch the game on FanDuel Sports Network. Until next week, we'll see you then. Cheers.